we're going to work on a painting inspired by the artwork of Jean-Michel Basquiat. Jean-Michel is an artist who was known for his paintings as well as some graffiti street art. He is someone who used bold colors and imagery. You'll see a lot of anatomy in his paintings that comes out because that was one of his big interests, as well as mark making that is full of energy. One of my favorite things about Jean-Michel's artwork, which you're seeing some images of right now, is you could really get a feeling of him as a person by looking at his artwork. You could see what he was going through as a person and in his own life because he put that into his brushes and into his mark making. One other fun thing that he would include is a bunch of text. So as you look at his paintings and see his work, you might see some different text pop out in the backgrounds or in the foreground of his work. Sometimes these were inspired by specific messages he wanted to send. Other times it would be inspired by things he had laying around the studio, including comic books. So to make this project, we have a piece of canvas, a Sharpie, a brush, and a handful of acrylic paints. Let's get started. I'm going to take my primary colors, red, blue, and yellow, and mix them together to create my secondary colors. If I wanted to, like let's say I wanted to make a lighter orange, I'm gonna take my white, and anytime you're making a color lighter by adding white paint to it, it's a good idea to start with a clump of white paint and add a very little amount of that new or that darker color that you're trying to lighten up. White is something that you need a lot of in order to truly lighten up a tone. And I'll show you what I mean. So I like the options that I have here. Now what I'm gonna do is in the style of Jean-Michel, I'm just gonna lay some paint on there however I'm feeling it. I'm not gonna think too much about keeping my paint in certain shapes. I want my brush marks or my brush strokes to show a lot of emotion and energy behind them. Now that my background is dry to the touch, almost, what I'm gonna do is take a darker color than what my background is showing to create the overall shape for my portrait. And this doesn't have to be an exact portrait. If you notice from the images that we looked at of Jean-Michel's work, he really just takes inspiration from all of these anatomical forms, and that's just a fancy word for your body. So just to define some of these shapes, like maybe I want to show that this is really my shoulder and my arm comes off from that. I'm just going to use the back side of my paintbrush, almost like I would a pencil, and define some of these lines. Maybe I've got one in the hair. You don't have to get too exact with it or overthink it. Just throw a mark where you're feeling it. So I'm gonna try to make kind of a blue-green hazel color. So that's what color my eyes are. And I'm really gonna highlight that. And again, I'm not thinking too much about the exact shape. I just wanna lay down some fun, expressive brush marks and bright colors. All right, so now my painting is dried and I'm going to do the last step, which is using my Sharpie to incorporate some text into my painting. I mentioned earlier that Jean-Michel would like to surround himself with all different kinds of text, comic books, ads, all different kinds of things, and just see what words pop out at him. So I think I'm just gonna go for it. The first word, I like how this spark turned out, and I liked using the thicker or fatter side of this marker. You can see I don't really mind if it gets on my subject. Now that I have a really large piece of text, I might go in with this smaller point and add in a couple more words. I hope you all had as much fun making your Jean-Michel Basquiat inspired painting as I did. I know I learned a little something in my research, and I'm really happy with how the painting came out. Thank you as always for supporting the AHA School. We'll see you next time.